Hello fellow scribblers. So today I'm going to make a video talking about the importance of scrapbooking. You might say that this is another way of saying it's important to practice, to sort of, jot down some rough sketches, rough ideas, scribbles, doodles, sketches, scrapbooking, whatever you want to call it. It's that kind of idea of when you just get a bit of paper out, a pen or a pencil, and you just draw nonsense. Just to kind of warm up, if you like, or if you've got a bit of artist block, you draw whatever. And the reason I decided to make this video is because on Friday, so today being Sunday, I started a brand new original piece intended for print. Basically, I was going to scan it in for prints to be available for, and I was going to have this original as part of a collection to be made available on a Patreon that I intend to set up, but I'm not going to set it up until I have the work. So this is the drawing that I did on Friday, and you might be looking at it thinking there's nothing wrong with that, which there isn't really. It's fine, but I'm not happy with just fine. And it's not only that I'm not massively satisfied with the way it looks. Like I say, it doesn't look bad at all, I don't think. But if you're somebody who does art and drawing and painting or whatever, it's not just about the way it looks. It's when you have like a feeling when you're drawing it, like the feel of it when you draw. It just doesn't feel right. You don't feel like you're enjoying it. You feel like it's more of a chore to draw it. And I couldn't properly figure out why, because it didn't look bad. I didn't really make any mistakes. It's very neat and tidy. You could argue maybe a bit boring. It's not really. Like I said, I've drawn worse than this. But I just felt like I had to stop recording it and I had to stop drawing it. And I went to my scrapbook. And I just started kind of in a more relaxed way, just scribbling down just lines. Nothing specific, just what's going wrong. And one of the things that I'm going to highlight the importance of is this. When I was drawing this picture, like I said a moment ago about the feel of it, I was trying too hard to be overly accurate with the line work. I've used the 0.2 as well, which I should have gone 0.1, but it doesn't really matter. And when I was drawing it, like as most people know now, I like to use dot grid paper because it helps me kind of concentrate on something. I find a blank sheet of paper a bit too daunting. Like I'll have a million ideas and I can't seem to start anywhere. Whereas with a bit of dot grid paper, just connecting two dots and then maybe connecting the next two dots and then maybe going a line above that, blah, 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 etc., etc. It can kind of help me build something out. But with this particular drawing, what I was doing was this. I was kind of trying far too hard to draw and connect the lines as accurately as possible. And it was only one line. And then the next line would be this. And then the next line would be this. And it was all slow. It was a bit too robotic, a bit too slow, a bit too mechanical maybe. I don't know what the right word is, but I think you get the idea. It didn't flow. Like I was too tense when I was drawing it, like even with the little details outside like this. And it felt like if any line went wrong, that would be the end of the drawing. And I've had this problem before. When I was doing my black book drawings, you can probably see the changes even. So here, in this book, the whole point of this book, for those who have not seen me draw in this book, was I had this sketchbook spare. And I wanted to just kind of, have another live stream series just to chill out and try, just try something different. And in these two first drawings that I did, you can see it's a lot rougher, it's a lot more playful, it's a lot more loose. And I've made some interesting drawings from it. And this quite quickly became one of probably my most popular series of drawings that I did. I really enjoy drawing them. I really like a lot of the outcomes. Some of them I don't like, but I think that's inevitable and it didn't really matter. But this is probably the first example of a drawing that I don't particularly like, where I'm trying too hard to be accurate with the lines. So then again, you can see other drawings I go a little bit rougher, a little bit looser, and produce, that's a good example where it's just more interesting sort of drawings, a little bit more detailed. And it's trying to find that balance of still being sort of neat and tidy, like I don't know if it's OCD or I don't know, where I just like the sort of neatness of straight line work, but also trying to combine it with the freedom of being a bit looser and a bit untidier to give it more of a organic feel, if that makes sense. But a lot of the time I tend to go, this is a good example of a bad drawing. It was not bad, but it's a bit plain Jane where I'm trying too hard to be overly accurate with the line work. And then a lot of other drawings where I've kind of been a bit looser. I think this one's a nice combination of both, where this one of my favourite drawings, I think this one is available for print. That was an idea that I had, but it went wrong and I remember the recording went bad. But you get the point. You can kind of tell in a lot of these drawings where I've tried to be overly accurate, they're a bit flat, a bit boring, and then when they're not, I've kind of managed to combine them both. They've been much better. This is a strange one where it is a bit accurate, but it actually looks okay. But I think because I use my cheat sheet, another video that I'll have to make to explain that, it kind of worked. But the point being, with this drawing, the feeling of it, even though you can't really see it as you look at the drawing because it might just look fine, but when you don't feel good when you're drawing it, it can just be a detriment to the drawing as a whole. Like if you don't feel right doing it, and like I say, you're kind of struggling to kind of keep the lines, and I think this is one of the pens that's been messing up as well. It can just look a bit too, I don't know, boring, whatever the word is. So the importance of coming to the scrapbook is what I started to do, is the whole point of the black book I just showed you, is just to loosen up a bit more. Don't worry about if it even looks good. So the lines are a lot faster, I'm overlapping the lines a bit more, they're a bit more untidy, but they still kind of keep the continuity and neatness of following the dots. So I'm still using the dots as a guide to try and create interesting shapes and sort of interesting line work. So even there, just one little right angle from there to there, already, because I managed to do it a lot quicker, it was a lot looser, still has the neatness and the structure of a square sort of angular shape, but just instantly more interesting than this, which is what I was doing before. And this is why I think if you've got a bit of, say, artist's block, creative block, whatever it might be, just having a book completely dedicated to messing about, scribbling stuff down. These aren't pieces of artwork that are meant to look good, or they're not meant to be anything, but just kind of having that idea of scribbling down and without any thought. It doesn't matter if you're able to think of anything specific to draw, just put the ink on the paper, put the pencil on the paper and do something. I have shown a scrapbook, a full scrapbook, I think there were two actually, in a folder before. I'll put a link to that video in the description for this video, where I kind of lay out the path I took from the start of this journey up until now and how I got to this style. But I'll never stop doing this scrapbooking stuff. So for example, this is the most recent one that I've been doing. And I used to have a routine where I started in here, like every day almost. I just come in here and just scribble. Like these are literally scribbles. And if I like something, I'll pull an idea from it. So I don't like this, so that's fine. You move on to the next idea, or you move on to the next scribble. Didn't really like anything there, no problem, move on. Tried some other stuff, more scribbles, still nothing. This is where I kind of started to take little ideas. Again, you just pull ideas from stuff in here. So it's not only about kind of improving the way that you feel like when you draw. I mentioned in a live before, I think it was Friday's live, where I have live streamed some of these little sessions where I've just come in and draw nonsense because people were asking about the process, etc. And there was one live stream that I did, and I'll put it in this video so you don't have to dig through the live streams, because I've said it a couple of times, where I wasn't happy with my line work because of what I just described. I was trying far too hard to be neat and tidy. It ended up just looking boring, you know, flat, not really what I wanted. So I had to come in here and basically rethink how I drew my line work to be looser. And I remember the live stream that I did this for. Looks like I'm going to find it, right? And it completely changed the way that I drew my lines, the way I even thought about drawing, and it was this. So this was the first time where I properly rethought about the way that I draw my lines, just being a bit, I mean, braver sounds like a really cheesy word when you're describing art, but I can't think of another word to describe it, where I managed to kind of do this entire page in, what, an hour maybe? And all it was just stop being as stiff with your pen. Don't be afraid about making mistakes. The idea was, if, say, I'm drawing a line like this, and it kind of goes a bit awry like that, just draw over it. Turn it into a more interesting line, a thicker line. Have details coming off it. So then when you eventually, if you want to close it up into an actual shape, overlap the lines again, you know, draw ones next to each other. Again, details away from it. Instantly, you've got a more interesting version of a very simple, boring shape, like a square or a rectangle. And then you can extend that out into other shapes. And your drawings become a lot more aesthetically pleasing. Because the reason I draw these kind of drawings is because I enjoy it. I really like taking the inspiration of things that I like aesthetically. So pixel art, video games, sci-fi, atmospheric, 2D video games, graffiti art. Just taking simple shapes, abstracting them, and making more interesting to look at. And it kind of came to fruition on Friday when I did that stream. So sorry, I recorded this on it was the Wednesday or the Thursday, sorry. And the drawing I ended up doing on stream on Friday, sorry, was this. So just a very basic version, you know, of what I normally draw, but because I kind of adopted the line work a lot better, I was able to kind of put the details in. It just looks a lot looser, a lot better. Again, just a group of simple shapes to create a structure that would look like a space station or something, which is what my intention was. And it didn't take as long either. You know, I was still chatting to the guys in the stream, and I still managed to pump this out in, what, an hour and a half? Whereas before, if I'd have drawn the way that I was drawing this drawing, it would have probably taken me double the time. So, like I said, I've spoken to people about this before who have asked me, and I'll always say, with scrapbooking practice, like, have a book, have like a sketchbook or just a bunch of paper, whatever, specifically dedicated to just being rubbish. Maybe that's not the right phrase to use, but not caring if it's good or not. Just getting the ink down, getting the drawing down, getting anything on the paper to get you more comfortable with how you draw. Because it's not always about if you're really good at drawing or not. That's irrelevant. It's more to do with how comfortable you feel when you draw, because that's when you will produce your best work. You know, whatever kind of art style you do, whether it be kind of abstract, sci-fi, video game inspired art like this, where, you know, just through pens and lines, whether it be ultra detailed, hyper realistic anatomy, you know, faces, people, characters, whatever art it might be, if you don't feel comfortable, your art's never going to be to the level that you want. It doesn't even matter if other people think it's good, it's if you're happy with it or not. And that's the problem with this drawing, why I probably won't finish it. It's because I'm not happy with it. I don't feel comfortable drawing it. I won't feel comfortable returning to it, but it's a good lesson to have. So any artist out there, I mean, like I said, what have I got, 415 subscribers? I'm not anybody, but there are still people out there who might value what you've got to say. And like I said, all these kind of art lessons, you know, how to draw this and where you're going wrong in art, and you know why you should use this perspective, all that shit doesn't mean anything if you don't feel comfortable when you put the pen to paper. And that's why I think scrapbooking like this is really important, because it helps you relax more and it helps you become more comfortable with drawing. And it doesn't matter how long you've been drawing. Like, I've been doing art since I was 5. Like, I've been doing, like I say, this kind of art for 2 years. But even when I used to do my digital art, if you're not feeling comfortable with it, if it can change your mood as well. Like a lot of artists, it's like, oh, I've got to feel in the right mood to do it. I've got to have that inspiration. This can help kickstart it, because you might want to work, but if you can't feel inspired, it's hard to force it. Whereas just taking an hour, a couple of hours, doodling shit in a sketchbook, whatever, that can really help you. So that's all I wanted to say. I know I've repeated, I'm not great at speaking on camera, but hopefully you get the idea. I hope this does help somebody, where if they're feeling a bit off it, or if they don't kind of feel like drawing but they really want to. That sounds like a contradiction. You know what I mean though? Like, if you know they really want to do something but they can't get inspired, maybe this will help. If you just kind of dedicate a book, a sketch pad, whatever, to just drawing poo-poo, getting lines down, and then maybe you can pull some ideas from it, because that's how it's worked for me. It's what's helped me sort of refine my style, because I thought I'd never find one, but I have managed to find one, and I'm really enjoying it, and I really do want to evolve my art as well. And I think the best way that I'm going to be able to do that is just keep this at hand. Just understand the importance of something like this for me. I'm not necessarily saying it might work for everybody, but it could help, even if it helps in a small way. But I'll leave it there, because I've been chatting shit for too long. But I hope this helps, and I'll have more videos and workouts soon. But thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.